the first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to the website. Once you're on the website, you need to select math as a subject. This is a grade 5 maths lesson. And the name of the topic is measurements. I'll give you the chapter number. The chapter number is 13 and the lesson number is 3. And the name of the lesson is compare and convert customary units of weight. Okay, let's see what we need to convert. So basically we did measurements previously. We'll be continuing with the same topic and we will see chapter number 13. Just a moment, please. And this is lesson number 3. So what we need to do is we need to look at conversions over here. Okay. Okay. What they're saying in question number 1 is convert convert pounds to ounces, right? So what we need to remember is some conversions. We need to remember that 1 pound, pound is for weight, it's denoted by lb as well, is always equals to 16 ounces, right? As we get the information, I'll highlight that and we'll try to remember these values, right? So if we need to convert pounds to ounces, that would mean 1 pound would be equals to 16 ounces. Agreed? But if I would say convert dash pounds would be equals to 8 ounces. So how many pounds would be 8 ounces? When we can see that 68 is equals to 16 upon 2, right? 16 is our reference point. That means this would be 1 pound divided by 2. That means 0.5 or half a pound. Agreed? That means, okay. And quarter of a pound which should be equals to 0.25 pounds should be equals to, that would mean 1/4. That means 4 ounces. Okay, this is a quarter pound. Okay, let's see at the next question. Hi students. Hi. Hi Semi. Hi Rebecca. Okay. We need to see, we need to convert pounds to tons. Okay. For question number 2, they're asking us to convert between pounds and tons. So let's see. One ton, okay, we can say 1 ton would be equals to 2,000 pounds. Okay, so 1 ton, if 1 ton equals to 2,000 pounds, let's break this value into smaller values. We can simply write over here that 2,000 pounds would be equals to 1 tons. But if we would want to say 1,000 pounds, 1,000 pounds should be equals to, what we are doing over here is this value, that is 2,000 is divided by 2, that equals to 1,000. Similarly, this would be how many tons? How many tons would be there? This was 1 upon 2. That means half tons or 0.5 tons, right? So half a ton would be 1,000 pounds and so on, right? We can also see a quarter of a ton. That means 0.25 tons would be equals to, it should be equals to 2,000 divided by 4. That means 500 pounds. See, these are the ones which I wrote in red and blue, right? The ones in the boxes. If we can remember these conversions, then we can go to a smaller value as well. We can say 1 pound would be equals to 16 ounces and 1 ton would be equals to 2,000 pounds. Agreed? Do we agree on this till now? Okay, perfect. So now if I say, if I have, so which is the greatest? We know that the heavier value over here is tons, right? Then we have the pounds, and then we have the ounces. Agreed? Ton is the heaviest over here. We go with the, let's say, these are the heaviest out of these three, and this would be the lightest, right? So whenever we are going from the heaviest towards the lightest, okay, let's see. When we go from the heaviest value to the lightest value, we're going in this direction. What do? We would multiply. Okay, we do multiplication. We multiply. Okay, and whenever we are going from the lighter values towards the heavier values, what we do is we divide. Okay, sorry, just a moment. Okay, I'll wait, no problem. We do that. We say when we're going from the smaller values, that is the lightest weight, toward the heaviest weight, we do division. Okay, let's look at an example over here. I'll just highlight this for these three values. Okay, we did pound to ounces and ton to pound, right? And tons to pounds. We did those. Now let's see what we can do. Just a moment. Okay. Now let's see if we change the question and we say convert. Okay, let's say question number 3. We have done pounds to ounces. We have done pounds to ounces and tons to pounds, right? But we have not done tons to, we haven't done tons to ounces. Let's try a question where we see we need to solve from tons to ounces or ounces to tons. Okay, let's say we need to find 1 ton, 1 ton, sorry, 1 ton should be equals to how many ounces? Okay, what we can see over here is from the tons, we need to go to first. See, ton cannot be directly converted into ounces. From the tons, first we have to go to, we know that 1 ton was equals to 2,000 pounds, right? We did the first step of conversion. Now from 1 ton, we have this value, 2,000 pounds. Now let's try to convert 2,000 pounds. That means 2,000. And what was the conversion between pounds and ounces? We knew that 1 pound was 16 ounces, right? So in place of pounds, we do the conversion, multiply, because we are going from the heaviest, that was tons, towards the ounces, right? So we multiply. How many ounces are there? We know that 1 pound had, sorry, we know that 1 pound had 16 ounces, right? So in place of pounds, we can write 16 ounces. So when we multiply, 2,000 is multiplied by 16. 6 times 0 is 0, 0, 0. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 0 is 0, 0, 0. 1 times 2 is 2. So can we say 0, 0, 0, 2, and 3? It comes out to be 32,000 ounces. So we can say 1 ton is equals to, agreed? So what we are doing is we are doing a double conversion over here. Okay, first we converted from tons to pounds, and then what we did was from pounds to ounces. Okay, so let's look at some other measurements, other examples. Okay, okay, just a moment. Convert. Uh, okay, they're asking us which one is more, 1 pound or 27 ounces. They're asking us which value is more, a pound or 27 ounces. Let's see. What was the conversion ratio between pounds and ounces? Anyone? See, we knew that 1 pound was equals to 16 ounces, right? We have this information. 1 pound was 16 ounces. So which should be heavier? 1 pound or 27 ounces? In place of 1 pound, we can write 16 ounces as well. Agreed. So which should be heavier? 16 ounces, because now we both have the quantities in the same, right? The same ratios. So obviously we know that 27 ounces is heavier than 1 pound. Agreed? Because we converted 1 pound into ounces. And we know that 1 pound was 16 ounces, right? We have this conversion. So just compare we cannot compare unless and until they both have the same units. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Let's do one more. Let's say which one is more. If the question given is which is more, let this be question number 5. And the question says we have this conversion given over here, right? 560 pounds or 1 ton. Which one is heavier? A ton. The conversion between, okay, the conversion between pounds and tons was, we know over here that 1 ton was 2000 pounds. Agreed? We did this previously. So we can use the same conversion over here. We can say 1 ton was 2000 pounds. So let's compare. The first value was 560 pounds. We need to bring them into same units, right? And this was 1 ton. And 1 ton, we knew that 1 ton was, this thing was equals to 2000 pounds. So which one is heavier? Obviously, we say 2000 pounds will be heavier. So we say 1 ton is heavier than 560 pounds. Agreed? Do we agree till here? Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's see. For the next question, they're saying, which one is more? Just a moment, please. Let me just copy this. Question number 6. Okay, this time they're using a different value. What they're saying is, which is more, 1 ton or 2066 pounds? Since we already have since it's weight has very limited measurements, right? Pounds, ounces, and tons, right? Weight cannot, but lengths have a lot of measurements. So it would be very different for the lengths, okay? We have 1 ton, we already have the conversion. We know that 1 ton is compared to 2066 pounds. And we can say that 1 ton would be equals to 2000 pounds. Agreed? Because we already have this information over here. So which one should be heavier? Should 2000 pounds be heavier or 2066 pounds should be heavier? So we can say this, since this is a greater value and the units are same. So we can say 2066 pounds is, we never use more, because whenever we are talking about weight, we talk about lighter or heavier. 2066 pounds is heavier than 1 ton. Agreed? Okay, let's move ahead. Perfect. Thank you, Semi. Let's do, okay. For the next question, they're saying, which is more, 21 ounces or 1 pound? We have the conversion. Question 7. Okay. Which should be heavier? 21 ounces or 1 pound? We know the conversion that 1 pound was, okay, I'll write that down again. 1 pound was 16 ounces. Agreed? Was equals to 16 ounces. So when we compare them, we had two values to compare, 21 ounces or 21 ounces or 1 pound. We can convert 1 pound into 16 ounces. Same units. Which should be heavier? When they have the same units, we can say 21 ounces is heavier than 1 pound. Agreed? Okay. And we can say 1 ton had 2000 ounces. Agreed? And if we look at one, no, 2000 pounds, my bad. I wrote pounds. And 1 ton would be equals to 32,000 ounces. Okay? So these are the three conversions that we need to remember for this particular topic. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's look at the next question. They're asking us which is heavier, 1 ton or 1,350 pounds. Which should be heavier? See, ton is a greater quantity, right? So we can always break the ton into pounds. We have the quantities 1 ton and 1,350 pounds. We know that 1 ton was equals to 2,000 pounds, right? And when we compare them, since they both are in pounds, which quantity is heavier? Yes. Since this is 2,000, this is only 1,350. So we can say that 1 ton is heavier than 1,350 pounds. Okay? Okay. Let's try another example with smaller values. Okay? I'll just change these values over here. And let's change these values. Let's make this, and let's make this 0. 0, sorry, just a moment, please. 850 and 0.25 tons. Okay, question number 9. We know that 0.25 is also written as 1/4, right? Let's compare. Is 0.25 tons heavier or 850 pounds heavier? Okay. For the conversion between tons and pounds, right? We can convert, in place of tons, we can write 0.25 into how many tons were there? In 1 ton, there was 2,000 pounds. Agreed? So when we multiply, 1/4 is multiplied by 2,000, and we can say pounds. So this becomes 500 pounds. So one quantity is 500 pounds. The other quantity was 850 pounds. So when we compare, which should be heavier? Out of these two weights, which weight should be heavier? 850 pounds or 500 pounds? We know that 850 pounds is heavier than a quarter ton. This is a quarter ton, right? 0.25 is a quarter. So we can say 850 pounds will be heavier than 500 pounds. Agreed? Let's move ahead. Let's look at the next value. They're asking us which is heavier, a pound or 23 ounces. Let's write it down. Just a moment, please. Which is more, 1 pound or 23 ounces? Which should be more? We know the two quantities are 1 pound was compared to 23 ounces, right? We know that pound is a greater value, and each pound would be equals to, we can replace the word pound by 16 ounces. That means we're comparing 16 ounces, right, is compared to 23 ounces. So which value should be greater out of these two? Because they have the same unit now. To ounces and ounces, we compare the quantities and we can easily say that 23 ounces is heavier than a pound or 1 pound. Agreed? For the next question, let's say they're saying which is heavier, 1 ton or 2,000 pounds? Okay, let's do it here. Let's see which one would be heavier. Question number 11. When we need to look a conversion between tons and pounds, we have this information already with us, right? Let me just recopy this so that we may be able to use this. Okay. When we already have this information with us, what can we say? We had the two quantities, tons and pounds. So in place of 1 ton, can we replace one stays as it is, and can we replace the ton by 2,000 pounds, right? So can we say 1 ton should be equals to 2,000 pounds? And over here we had 2,000 pounds. So which is heavier? Is this 2,000 pounds heavier or is this 1 ton heavier? Neither of them are heavier. They are of equal, right? 1 ton is equal in weight, right, to 2,000 pounds. So or we can say they are equal weights. Agreed? We can say they're equal weights. Perfect. The next one, sorry, my bad. Okay, let's try some questions from the test. Let's look at a question or two. So the first question that we have, any questions up till now? So that I need to answer, any confusions? If there's any confusion, kindly let me know. I'll answer that first. Okay, perfect. So if we have the first question from the test, and then the question says, convert ounces to pounds, right? This is our question number one from the test. Okay. We have the conversion right there on the screen, right? Because it says, very lucky for us, right? Perfect, right? We could say 1 pound was 16 ounces, right? It's easy, basic conversion. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, the next question, it says convert 2,000 pounds into tons. Okay, let's see. Let this be our question number two. Okay, we have the value over here. What can we say about tons? 2,000 pounds. Semi, 2,000 pounds would be equals to Rebecca or Semi. We have the conversions right there, the chart for us. Sorry. 2,000 pounds should be equals to, we follow this value, agreed. You can say this value is given to us. Yes, perfect. 2,000 pounds was 1 ton. Okay, so just focusing on these basic conversions, we can see between, if we remember these three weights, 1 pound is always 16 ounces, 1 ton was 2,000 pounds, and if we do between, 1 ton would be 32,000 ounces, right? So if we can remember these conversions, we can convert any weight, okay? Because weight measurements are very limited, okay? So please do try complete the questions from the test so that you may have more practice, okay? Thank you so much. Best of luck.